A multimillionaire found his missing mother, cared for by a street sweeper. And what he did next. Alexander Alex Miller slammed on the brakes, his luxury SUV screeching to a halt inches from the curb. His hands trembled on the steering wheel as he stared at the impossible scene unfolding before him. What his eyes were seeing couldn't be real. There, being gently pushed in a wheelchair by a man in a blue city sanitation uniform, was his mother, Eleanor Vance, 78 years old, who had disappeared 3 months ago without a trace, smiled serenely as she chatted with the sanitation worker, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Alex exited his car, not even bothering to properly close the door. His legs wavered as he approached. The man in the blue uniform, a fellow appearing to be in his mid-40s, constantly paused to adjust the blanket over the elderly woman's legs. He spoke to her in a sweet, patient tone that Alex hadn't heard himself use with his own mother in decades. "Mom," Alex called out. His voice came out weaker than he intended. Eleanor turned her face towards the sound, but her eyes showed confusion, no recognition. The sanitation worker stopped pushing the chair and looked at Alex with a cautious expression. "Does the gentleman know Mrs. Vance?" the man in the blue uniform asked. "Know her. She's my mother," Alex burst out, feeling a mix of relief and irritation welling up inside him. "Where have you been? What have you done to her?" The sanitation worker, wearing a faded blue cap, took it off his head in a respectful gesture. His brown hair was damp with sweat from his work. "Calm down, sir. I'm Mike. I work sanitation in this neighborhood. I found Mrs. Vance lost about 2 months ago." She was confused. She couldn't remember anything or where she lived. 2 months? Alex felt the world spin. She disappeared 3 months ago. Where was she during the first month? "I don't know that, sir. When I found her, she was in a very difficult situation. Lost, hungry, her clothes all dirty. She couldn't speak well. She just kept repeating that she had a son and showed an old photo." Mike pulled a yellowed photo from his pocket. Alex recognized it immediately. It was a picture of him at 15, taken in the backyard of the house where he grew up. "My son," Eleanor murmured. But she was looking at Mike, not Alex. "My son is here." Alex felt as if he'd been punched in the stomach. His own mother didn't recognize him, but called this stranger her son. "Mom, it's me, Alex, your real son." "Don't yell at her," Mike said firmly. "She gets scared. She has a problem with her memory. She forgets things. I know she has dementia." Alex was losing his patience. Precisely why she should be in a specialized clinic, not being dragged around by a sanitation worker, Mike completed, showing no offense. "Look, sir, I understand your frustration, but your mother is well cared for. I took her to the doctor, got her medication. She eats well. She bathes every day." Alex looked more closely at his mother. She truly was clean, in neat clothes, her hair combed. She even had a bit of color in her face, something he hadn't seen in a long time. "Where is she living?" Alex asked, trying to control his tone. "In my house. My wife and I take care of her." "Your house?" Alex almost shouted again, but restrained himself when he saw Eleanor flinch. "You have no right to keep her. I'm calling the authorities." "You can call," Mike said calmly. "I already tried to find her family. I called several places, hospitals, police precincts. Nobody knew anything." "That's a lie. I put ads in newspapers. I hired detectives." "Where do you live?" Mike asked. Alex hesitated. He lived in an exclusive neighborhood in Greenwich, Connecticut, far from that modest neighborhood where he found his mother. "That doesn't matter. What matters is that she's coming with me now." When Alex reached out to take the wheelchair, Eleanor clung to Mike's arm. "I don't want to go with that man," she said, clearly agitated. "He's mean. He yells a lot." "Mike, please, take me home," Eleanor pleaded. "I want to go home." Alex watched his mother clinging to a stranger's arm, asking to escape from him. The pain was so intense that he had to lean against his car. "Look," Mike said, his voice becoming gentler as he saw Alex's desperation. "She needs her medicine. How about we talk at my house? You can see how we're treating her." Alex wanted to refuse. He wanted to simply take his mother away from there, but the way she recoiled from his touch made him accept. He followed the wheelchair that Mike carefully pushed, stopping at each corner to wait for her to feel safe to continue. Mike's house was on a modest but well-kept street. It was small, painted light blue, with a small garden at the entrance where some simple flowers grew. Alex parked his imported car between 2 old vehicles and felt as if he were on another planet. A woman in her 40s appeared at the door. Her face was tired, but gentle, and she smiled at the sight of Eleanor. "How was your walk, Mrs. Vance?" the woman asked. "It was good, dear," Eleanor replied. "Mike showed me the flowers in the park. She's my wife, Sarah, Mike introduced. Sarah, this is Mrs. Vance's son. Sarah looked Alex up and down, noticing the expensive suit, the luxury watch, the well-cut hair. Her expression hardened slightly. Ah, the famous son who never showed up, she said without trying to hide her coldness. What do you mean, never showed up? Alex defended himself. I looked for her for months. My husband tried to find you for weeks. He called everywhere. No one called me. Yes, we called, Mike said. I managed to find your company's number. I spoke to a secretary several times. Alex felt the ground vanish beneath his feet. He vaguely remembered his secretary, Brenda, mentioning some strange calls from people who wanted to talk to him about his mother. What company? Alex asked. But he already knew the answer. Miller Holdings. I spoke to a Brenda. I told her it was about Eleanor Vance, that she was with me. She said you didn't take calls from… What did she say? Sarah. From ordinary people, Sarah completed bitterly. She said you only spoke with important clients. Alex remembered it perfectly. He had instructed Brenda to filter calls from people not relevant to the business. Salespeople, solicitors, ordinary people who always tried to reach him asking for favors or money. I didn't know. Of course, you didn't know, Sarah said. People like you don't know anything about what happens to people like us. Sarah, don't talk to him like that, Mike pleaded. He came for his mother. That's what matters. They entered the small house. Alex was surprised by the organization and cleanliness. It was simple, but there was care in every detail. On the living room table, he saw several medicine bottles organized by schedule, a planner with notes about Eleanor's routine, and some photos she had taken with Mike and Sarah. Where does she sleep? Alex asked. In our bedroom, Mike replied. We sleep in the living room. We gave her our room. She needs privacy and needs to be close to the bathroom for her medications. Alex observed the details with which they had adapted the house. Safety bars in the bathroom, non-slip mats, a special shower chair, all made with simple materials, but with great care. How much do you want? Alex asked suddenly. How? Mike didn't understand. Money. How much do you want for the trouble you've gone to? I can pay. Mike and Sarah looked at each other. The expression on both their faces changed completely. You think we took care of your mother for money? Sarah asked, clearly offended. It's obvious you didn't do it out of charity. Everyone wants something. Get out of my house, Sarah said, pointing to the door. Sarah tried to calm Mike. No, Mike, I'm not going to listen to this man say we took care of Mrs. Vance, expecting payment. Eleanor, who was sitting in a comfortable armchair, began to get agitated by the raised voices. Why are you fighting? She asked with a trembling voice. We're not fighting, Mrs. Vance, Mike said, immediately changing his tone. This gentleman here is your real son. He came to look for you. I don't want to go, Eleanor said firmly. I want to stay with you. You are my real children. The words cut Alex like daggers. His own mother preferred to stay with strangers than to return home with him. Mom, I can take better care of you. I have money. I can hire the best nurses, the best doctors. She already has a doctor, Mike said. Dr. Evans from the community health clinic, a very good man, sees her every week. Community health clinic? Alex almost laughed. My mother needs private specialists, not a community doctor. Dr. Evans is a specialist in geriatrics. He graduated from a top medical school and did his residency at a major city hospital. He works at the clinic because he wants to help the community. Alex felt small. He was used to judging people by the money they had, not by their competence or kindness. Even so, I can provide better conditions. What conditions? Sarah asked. Leaving her alone all day while you work? That's what happened before she ran away, isn't it? The question hit home. Alex remembered the last few years. He had put his mother in an expensive assisted living facility. He visited her once a month, always in a hurry, always talking on the phone during visits. I work a lot. I have responsibilities. We all work a lot, Mike said. The difference is that we make time for those we love. You don't even know her. Yes, we do, Sarah said, sitting next to Eleanor and taking her hand. We know she likes sweet coffee, that she's afraid of thunderstorms, that she cries when she hears Frank Sinatra music because it reminds her of the husband she lost. We know she used to sew wedding dresses when she was young and still remembers how to do complicated stitches. We know she feels lonely, even when people are around. Alex listened to every word and realized he knew none of those things about his own mother. How do you know all that? We talk with her, Mike said simply. Every day during meals, at medicine time, before bed. She tells us things. We listen. But she has dementia. She doesn't remember things. She doesn't remember the present, but she remembers the past. And above all, she feels. She feels when someone loves her, when someone is patient, when someone cares. Alex fell silent, absorbing it all. His mother was there, cared for by two people who barely knew her, but who offered her something he had lost long ago: time, patience, and genuine affection. "I need to take her with me," Alex said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Why?" Eleanor suddenly asked, looking directly at him. "Why do you want to take me? You don't even love me." The simple, direct question left Alex speechless. It was true. For years, he had seen his mother more as an obligation than as someone he loved. "Of course, I love you, Mom. You never visit me. You never hug me. You never sit down to talk with me. You only come when you need something." Alex realized that even with dementia, his mother had retained her emotional perception of things. She remembered how she felt, not the facts. "I've always been busy, Mom, working to ensure you had the best." "The best is affection," Eleanor said simply. "Mike gives me affection, Sarah gives me affection. You give me money, but not affection." Alex felt his eyes sting. When had he become such a cold person? When did he stop hugging his mother, talking to her, just being present? "Look," Mike said, seeing Alex's distress. "How about we make a deal? You can come here every day, spend time with her. Little by little she'll get used to you again. She needs to come home with me. It's my obligation to take care of her." "Why is it an obligation?" Sarah asked. "Because she's your mom, or because people will talk if they find out she lives with strangers?" Alex felt exposed. Part of his urgency to take his mother had to do with his reputation. A millionaire businessman who let his mother be cared for by a sanitation worker would be a social scandal. "You don't understand. I have resources you don't have. I can give her things you never could." "Like what?" Sarah challenged. "Private clinics, specialized doctors, physical therapists, 2 4-hour nurses, an apartment with an ocean view, expensive clothes." "And love?" Sarah asked. "Patience when she forgets things, someone to hold her hand when she has a nightmare, someone to listen to her tell the same story 10 times without getting angry?" Alex didn't know how to answer. He realized that all those material things were irrelevant compared to what Mike and Sarah offered. "My son," Eleanor said, reaching out to Mike. "I'm thirsty." Mike immediately got up and went to get water. Alex watched as he put the straw in the glass, tested the temperature, held the glass for her to drink slowly. He carefully wiped her mouth with simple gestures, but full of attention and affection. "When was the last time you did that for her?" Sarah asked softly. Alex tried to remember, and couldn't. In recent years, his interactions with his mother had always been mediated by employees. Nurses gave her water, caregivers bathed her. He only showed up to talk about practical matters. "I didn't know she needed it." "Every child knows that parents get old and need care," Sarah said. "The difference is that some children accept that responsibility with love, others see it as a burden." "It's not that I see it as a burden. Then why did you outsource her care? Why did you put her in a retirement home instead of taking care of her yourself?" Alex remembered the day he made that decision. His mother lived with him, but it had become difficult. She left the stove on, left the house and got lost. She woke up confused in the early morning. It was easier to put her in a place where professionals would take care of her. It was the best for her. "It was the best for you," Sarah corrected. "You transferred the problem for others to solve." "It's not like that." "Yes, it is. And look where she ended up. She ran away from your expensive place, because there she was just another patient. Here she's part of the family." Alex looked around the simple house. On the refrigerator were drawings Eleanor had made. Basic drawings, but someone had taken the care to put them on the door, as if they were works of art. On the table there was a vase with flowers that she herself had arranged. On the armchair she sat in there was a cushion specially embroidered for her. "You did all this for her." "We did it for ourselves too," Mike said, returning with the water. "Taking care of Mrs. Vance brought joy to our home. My own mom also had dementia before she passed away. I know how difficult it is, but I know how rewarding it can be too." "Your mom also had dementia?" "Yes. I took care of her right here in this house for 5 years. When she left, I really missed having someone to care for. When I found Mrs. Vance, it was as if I had a second chance." Alex began to understand that it wasn't abstract kindness that moved Mike and Sarah. They had their own emotional reasons for caring for his mother. "And you, Sarah, why do you agree to take care of a stranger?" "Because I know that one day I will also grow old, and I want someone to take care of me as I am taking care of her now. Besides, my own mom lives nearby, and also has memory problems. The two get along well. They keep each other company." Alex realized that there was a whole network of care and affection working there, of which he was not a part. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, please leave your like, and, above all, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot who are just starting out. Continuing. Where is Sarah's mom? Alex asked. She lives around the corner. She comes here every afternoon. She and Mrs. Vance sit on the porch, chat about things from the past. Even if they don't remember well, they feel accompanied. Alex imagined his mother having friends, participating in a simple but genuine social life. In the expensive assisted living facility where he had placed her, she spent most of her time alone, even surrounded by people. Can I meet Sarah's mom? Sure. She'll be here in a while for a snack. Both of them like to eat pastries and chat about old recipes. Recipes? My mother cooked? Yes. She cooked very well, Sarah said. She remembers all the recipes from her married days. Sometimes we make some sweets with her. Of course, I watch over her, but she still knows how to make them. I didn't know she could still cook. She can do several things. Recent memory is damaged, but old skills are still there. She sews, embroiders, tells stories, sings old songs. Alex realized that he no longer knew his mother. There were so many capacities she still retained, but that no one at the facility had been interested in discovering or stimulating. Why did she run away from there? Alex asked, more to himself than to others. Didn't you ask her? Mike said. How am I going to ask her? She forgets everything. She forgets what happened yesterday, but she remembers feelings. Ask her how she felt there. Alex approached his mother, who was finishing drinking water. Mom, do you remember that place where you lived before? Eleanor was silent for a moment, as if searching for memories. Sad place, she finally said. Nobody talked to me. Bland food, hurried people, a lot of noise. But it was a nice place, Mom. It had a garden, a pool, a recreation room. Pretty on the outside, Eleanor said. Ugly on the inside. Here it's pretty on the inside. The simplicity of the answer deeply touched Alex. His mother had perfectly distinguished between appearance and essence. She ran away from there. I walked out. I wanted to find my house. I walked a lot. My feet hurt. And then Mike found me. Do you remember the day Mike found you? Eleanor looked at Mike with affection. I remember, I was sitting on a park bench crying. Mike stopped. He asked me if I was okay. When I told him I was lost, he helped me. It wasn't that simple, Mike said. I took her to the community health clinic first. Then I tried to find her family. Only when I couldn't did I bring her home. How long was she lost before you found her? We don't know. When I found her, she was in a very difficult situation. Dirty clothes, thin, scared. It took a few days for her to calm down and start trusting us. Alex felt overwhelming guilt. His mother had spent weeks lost on the streets suffering, while he believed she was safe in the expensive institution he had chosen. Why didn't anyone notify me that she had escaped? You have to ask them that, Sarah said. When a person disappears, the normal thing is to notify the family immediately. Alex remembered that he had received a call from the retirement home, but it was about administrative matters. They mentioned that his mother was a little restless, but nothing about an escape or disappearance. They told me she was restless, but not that she had escaped. Maybe they took a while to realize, Mike suggested diplomatically. What do you mean, they took a while to realize? Well, when I found Mrs. Vance, she told me she had left in the early morning and walked all morning. That means she was gone for many hours before anyone missed her. Alex understood the implication. In a retirement home that charged a fortune, his mother had disappeared and no one noticed for hours. What kind of care was she really receiving there? I'm going to sue that institution, Alex said, feeling his anger grow. What good will that do? Sarah asked. Your mother is fine now. That's what matters. But they were negligent. Something terrible could have happened to her. Something good happened, Mike said. She found people who care about her. Sometimes bad things lead to good things. Alex admired the simple wisdom of that man. Instead of focusing on what had gone wrong, he celebrated what had gone right. I want to compensate you for what you did. Again with money, Sarah was annoyed. Don't you understand that some things aren't about money? Then what do you want? Nothing, Mike said. We just want Mrs. Vance to be happy. If she wants to stay here, she stays. If she wants to go with you, she goes. The decision is hers, but she has dementia. She can't make decisions alone. Yes, she can, Sarah said. She decides what she wants to eat, what clothes to wear, whether she wants to go out or stay home. Dementia doesn't completely take away her ability to choose, and if she chooses to stay here, then she stays, Mike said simply. You would assume responsibility for her forever? We would assume it as long as possible. If it reached a point where we could no longer care for her, then we would pass her on to someone who could care for her better. Alex felt small before the generosity of these people. They were willing to sacrifice their own lives to care for a stranger, while he, the biological son, saw it as a burden. Can I come here tomorrow? Alex asked hesitantly. Of course, Mike said. Mrs. Vance needs to get used to you little by little. Forcing it won't help. How should I behave with her? Sarah looked at him with surprise. You don't know how to talk to your own mother? It's just that she has changed a lot. She's no longer the person I knew. She's still your mother, Sarah said softly. She just needs more patience now. Speak slowly, don't get annoyed and repeat things. Let her tell her stories, even if you've heard them before. And what if she doesn't want to talk to me? She will, Mike said. Deep down, everyone wants to connect with family. She just needs to feel safe. Alex looked at his mother, who was dozing in the armchair. She seemed so small and fragile, but at the same time there was a serenity on her face that he hadn't seen in years. She seems at peace. Here she is at peace, Sarah confirmed. When she arrived, she lived in fear. She woke up in the early morning screaming. Now she sleeps through the night. She smiles during the day. Can I bring her some things? Clothes, personal items? You can, but ask her first. Sometimes sudden changes confuse her. Alex was preparing to leave when Eleanor woke up. Are you leaving? She asked. Alex was surprised. It was the first time she had shown any interest in his presence. I'm leaving, Mom, but I'll be back tomorrow. If you want, you can come back, but don't yell. I won't yell, I promise. Eleanor smiled slightly. It was a small smile, but Alex felt as if he had won a prize. In the car, on his way home, Alex couldn't stop thinking about everything he had seen. His mother was being better cared for by strangers than she had ever been by him. And worse, she was happier with them than she had been with her own family. Arriving home, Alex looked around his empty mansion. Expensive furniture, works of art, cutting-edge technology, but no sign of real life. There were no family photos on the refrigerator, no lovingly embroidered cushions, no human warmth he had felt in Mike and Sarah's humble home. He called his secretary. Brenda, I need to know about some calls you received. Mike called several times looking for me, talking about my mom. Oh, yes sir, I remember him, but you told me to filter calls from ordinary people, and you considered talking about my mother to be something from ordinary people? Well, the man said he was a sanitation worker, so I thought it would be some kind of scam. Alex hung up the phone without further explanation. He realized that he had created a system around him that isolated him from any genuine human contact. His own business efficiency had prevented him from finding his mother. That night, Alex barely slept. He kept thinking about Eleanor, sleeping peacefully in Mike and Sarah's simple house, feeling loved and cared for while he was alone in his mansion, surrounded by luxury, but empty of affection. The next day, Alex arrived at Mike's house with a bouquet of flowers and a box of chocolates. Eleanor was sitting on the porch with another elderly lady, the two chatting animatedly. Good afternoon, Mom, Alex said, offering the flowers. Look, Dorothy, this is my son, Eleanor said to her friend. He brought flowers. Alex was surprised. For the first time, she had introduced him as her son to someone. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Dorothy, Alex said. I'm Alex. Nice to meet you, young man. Mrs. Vance talks about you. She says you work a lot. It's true, I work too much. Work is good, but family is important too, Dorothy said with the wisdom of years. Alex sat in a chair next to the two ladies. Little by little, they returned to the conversation they were having, something about apple pie recipes. Alex just listened, discovering aspects of his mother he completely ignored. Eleanor spoke about baking techniques she had learned from her own mother. Her eyes sparkled as she described the exact consistency of the caramel, the ideal texture of the cake batter. Alex realized that she had been an excellent cook and that he had never valued that talent. Would you still like to cook? Alex asked during a pause in the conversation. I would, but I forget things on the stove, Eleanor replied with sadness. What if someone helped you? That would be good. I miss making my desserts. Mike appeared on the porch. Alex, good thing you came. Mrs. Vance was anxious to see you. She was? She asked several times if you were coming. I think she's remembering you little by little. Alex felt a surge of hope. Maybe it wasn't too late to rebuild the relationship with his mother. Mike, do you have a stove here at home? We do. Why? My mom would like to cook. How about we make something together? Eleanor clapped like a child. Can I make my chocolate fudge cake? Of course, Mom. I'll help you. In the simple kitchen, Alex discovered a new facet of his mother. She moved confidently among the utensils. Her hands remembered the movements, even when her mind failed. Mike discreetly supervised, turning the stove on and off, but letting her feel in control. Alex, break the eggs for me, Eleanor asked. It was the first time in decades that she treated him naturally, as if it were normal for them to be cooking together. How many eggs, Mom? 3. Always 3, so the cake turns out well. Alex broke the eggs carefully, feeling proud to be helping. Eleanor patiently guided him, correcting him when he mixed too fast or put too much sugar. That's how you were when you were little, she said suddenly. You always wanted to help in the kitchen, but you made a mess. Alex stopped stirring the batter. She had remembered something from the distant past. Do you remember when I was a child? I remember. You were very mischievous. You climbed on chairs to reach the sugar bowl. You spread flour everywhere. Alex felt his eyes well up with tears. He had completely forgotten those moments from his childhood. And what else do you remember? I remember you liked to lick the bowl after I made cake. You always had chocolate on your nose. Alex laughed, surprised to be recovering memories he thought lost. I can lick the bowl today too. Eleanor smiled with more joy than Alex had seen in years. You can, but share with Mike and Sarah. They're my children now too. The phrase touched Alex unexpectedly. Instead of jealousy, he felt gratitude that his mother had found people who loved her. While the cake baked, the four sat in the living room chatting. Alex realized it had been a long time since he spent an entire afternoon without thinking about work, emails, or business. Alex, Sarah said, can I ask you something? Of course. Why do you work so much? I mean, you already have a lot of money, don't you? Alex thought about the question. Why did he continue to work 15 hours a day when he already had more money than he could spend in several lifetimes? It's hard to explain. I started working hard to give my mom security, so she would never be in need, but then it became a habit, maybe a vice. And it worked? She feels secure? Sarah asked directly. Alex looked at Eleanor, who was playing with a cat that had appeared on the porch. No, she feels more secure here, in a simple house, than she ever felt with all my money. Perhaps because security isn't about having a lot, but about having enough and feeling loved, Mike said. The observation struck Alex like lightning. He had spent decades building financial security, but he had neglected his mother's emotional security. How do you know these things? Alex asked. Life teaches you, Sarah replied. When you don't have a lot of money, you learn that the important things can't be bought. And when you have a lot of money, then sometimes you forget the important things, Mike said without malice. Alex nodded. It was exactly what had happened to him. The cake was ready, and they ate it together on the porch with Eleanor, proud of her creation. It was delicious, tasting of childhood and fond memories. Mom, this cake is wonderful, Alex said sincerely. It's my mom's recipe. Your grandma taught it to me when I was a girl. Alex realized that through cooking, his mom kept alive a family tradition that he had never been interested in learning about. Could you teach me other recipes? I can. I know how to make many things. Peach cobbler, apple pie, lemon meringue pie, chocolate fudge cake. I would love to learn. Eleanor became visibly emotional. It's been a long time since anyone wanted to learn my recipes. Alex realized that he had wasted years of opportunities to connect with his mom through her interests. When it was time to leave, Alex didn't want to go. It had been the most reconnecting afternoon he had spent in decades. Can I come back tomorrow? He asked. You can, Eleanor said, but bring sugar. I want to make lemon meringue pie. Alex laughed. It was a shopping list, but it sounded like an invitation to intimacy. I'll bring sugar and everything you need. In the car, Alex reflected on the transformation happening within him. In 2 days, he had discovered more about his mother than in previous years. And more importantly, he had discovered that it was still possible to reconnect with her. That night, Alex did something he hadn't done in a long time. Instead of working late, he sat in the living room and thought about life. He looked at old family photos that were stored in a box in the closet. There were so many images of happy moments he had forgotten. In one of the photos, he appeared about 8 years old next to his mother, both dirty with flour after making cookies. Eleanor smiled with the same affection she had shown that afternoon. Alex realized that the loving woman was still there. She just needed patience and attention to emerge. He called his company and canceled all meetings for the next day. For the first time in years, he was going to dedicate an entire day to something other than work. The next morning, Alex went to the supermarket and bought all the ingredients for the lemon meringue pie, plus other items Eleanor might want. He arrived at Mike's house loaded with bags. Wow, what's all this? Sarah asked, laughing. Material for cooking classes, Alex replied. My mom is going to teach me how to cook well. Eleanor was on the porch drinking coffee. When she saw Alex, she smiled. My son is here, she said to Dorothy, who was again keeping her company. Alex felt his heart warm. For the second time, she had called him her son in front of someone else. I brought everything for the pie. Mom, that's great. We're going to make the best pie in the world. In the kitchen, Alex paid attention to every detail of his mother's instructions. She spoke about the exact point of the meringue, the correct temperature of the lemon filling, the patience needed for the pie to be creamy. "Haste is the enemy of good food," Eleanor said. "You have to do it with love, without rushing." Alex realized that she was talking about something much bigger than cooking. "I was always in a hurry, Mom, I know. Since you were little, you wanted everything to happen quickly. But the good things in life need time." Alex stopped stirring the pie filling and looked at his mother. "Like relationships. Like relationships." Eleanor nodded. "Like love. Like family. I wasted a lot of time, didn't I, Mom?" Eleanor took his hand with her wrinkled, yet affectionate hands. "It's never too late to start over, my son." Alex felt an intense emotion. His mother, even with dementia, was still capable of moments of profound wisdom. "I would like to start over, Mom. I would like to be a better son." "You already are," Eleanor said. They simply spent the whole morning cooking and talking. Alex discovered stories from his mother's youth, how she met his father, the dreams they had together. He discovered that she had been a teacher before getting married, that she liked to read novels, that she knew how to play the piano. "Why did you stop playing the piano, Mom?" "I didn't have time after you were born. I only thought about taking care of you and the house." Alex felt a pang of guilt. His mother had given up her own interests to dedicate herself to the family. "Do you miss the piano, Mrs. Vance?" "Yes, sometimes I dream I'm playing. Is there a piano nearby?" "There is at the church," Mike said, listening to the conversation. "Father Michael always lets people use it when there's no service." "Would you like to go play there, Mom?" Eleanor's eyes lit up. "Do you think I still remember?" "There's only one way to find out." That afternoon, after the pie was ready, the four went to the neighborhood church. It was a simple but welcoming building. Father Michael, a gentleman in his 60s, welcomed them with joy. "Mrs. Vance, good to see you. I heard you play the piano." "Played," Eleanor corrected shyly. "A long time ago. The piano doesn't forget," Father Michael said. "It's like riding a bike." Eleanor sat on the stool of the old piano. Her fingers hesitated over the keys for a moment. Then they began to move almost by themselves. The music that came out of the piano was simple, but moving. A soft melody she had probably played 1,000 times in her youth. Alex was moved to see his mother reconnect with a lost part of herself. "It's beautiful, Mom," Alex said when she finished. "I remembered," Eleanor said with surprise. "I still remember how to play. Would you like to come here more often?" "I'd love to." Father Michael offered to pick her up once a week so she could play. Alex noticed that there was a whole community willing to embrace and care for his mother. "Father," Alex said, "I can make a donation to the church. It's always welcome, but don't feel obligated." "It's not an obligation, it's gratitude. You are giving my mother something I couldn't give her, a sense of belonging." Back at Mike's house, they ate the lemon meringue pie they had prepared together. It was delicious, but more important than the taste was the meaning of that moment. "Mom," Alex said, "I have a proposal to make to you." "What proposal?" "I would like you to come live with me, but not like before. I would change my routine, spend more time with you. We would learn other recipes together." Eleanor remained thoughtful. "And Mike and Sarah? They could visit us whenever they wanted." Or, Alex hesitated, then continued, "Or, I could build a big house where we could all live together." Mike and Sarah looked at each other, surprised. "Are you serious?" Sarah asked. "Yes. You took care of my mother when I couldn't. Now you are her family. And if you are her family, you are my family too." Eleanor clapped. "A big house for all of us. Like a big family." "Exactly. Like a big family, Mom." "But Alex," Mike said, "that would be very expensive, very complicated. Money is not a problem, and the complicated thing would be living, knowing that I left my mother far from the people who truly love her." "And your work?" Sarah asked. "I'm going to reduce it. I'll work part-time and dedicate the rest of my time to family. Can you do that?" "I need to be able to. I learned that it's no use having all the money in the world if you don't have anyone to share your life with." Eleanor stood up and hugged Alex. "My son has become a good person," she said. "I was always your son, Mom. I just forgot how to be one." That night, Alex returned home with a completely new feeling. For the first time in years, he felt truly happy. Not the temporary satisfaction of closing a good deal, but the deep joy of having reconnected with what truly mattered. In the following days, Alex began to put his plan into action. He found a large plot of land in a neighborhood near Mike's and hired architects to design a house that could comfortably accommodate everyone, but maintaining the feeling of home that Eleanor had found in the simple house. The project included individual rooms for everyone, but spacious common areas where they could live together. A large kitchen where Eleanor could cook safely, a music room where she could play the piano, gardens where she could plant flowers. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, please leave your like and, above all, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot who are just starting out. Continuing, during the construction process, Alex began to divide his time between the company and Mike's house. Little by little, he reduced his business activities and delegated responsibilities to partners and employees. "Don't you miss it?" Sarah asked one day. "Miss what?" "The hustle and bustle, the business, making money." Alex reflected on the question. "I miss the feeling of being important, of being indispensable, but I realized that it's an artificial importance. Here I am important, really. My mom needs me. You have become important to me. It's a real importance. And the money? The money is still there. The difference is that now it has a purpose. Before I made money to make more money. Now I use money to create happiness." During those months of construction, Alex learned much more than recipes from his mom. He learned about patience, about being present, about valuing small moments. He discovered that Eleanor liked to listen to 60s music, that she was afraid of thunderstorms, but loved the rain, that she perfectly remembered poems she had memorized in school decades ago. "Mom, could you recite a poem to me?" "I can. Which one do you want to hear?" "The one you like the most." Eleanor closed her eyes and recited with a clear and emotional voice a poem about nostalgia and time. Alex was impressed by the perfect way she remembered each verse. "It's beautiful. Mom, you always knew poetry. Always. I was a teacher. Remember? I taught children to memorize poems. Why did you never recite poetry to me when I was a child?" "You didn't have the patience to listen," Eleanor said without resentment. "You were always in a hurry to do other things." Alex realized that impatience had been a trait of his since childhood, and that it had limited his experiences with his mom throughout his life. "Now, I have patience, Mom. I can listen to all the poems you know." "There are many," Eleanor said, smiling. "We're going to need a lot of time. We have all the time in the world." One Sunday, Alex took Eleanor to visit the house under construction. She was delighted with the project. "It's going to be our house," she told the construction workers proudly. "That's right, Mrs. Vance," confirmed the foreman. "The most beautiful house in the neighborhood." Alex observed how everyone on the construction site already knew and liked his mom. She was interested in everyone's work, asked about their families, offered cooking tips for the workers' wives. "Your mom is very loved around here," the architect told Alex. "Everyone speaks well of her. She was always a special person. I took a long time to realize it. It's never too late to realize the good things in life." Alex nodded. He was learning that recognizing his mistakes and working to correct them was more valuable than pretending he had never erred. One day, Alex received an unexpected call. It was the administrator of the assisted living facility Eleanor had escaped from. "Mr. Miller, we have a proposal for you. We would like to offer your mother's return at no cost as compensation for the inconveniences that occurred." "What inconveniences?" "Well, her escape caused some administrative problems. The escape means that a 7-8-year-old lady with dementia managed to leave your institution without anyone noticing. It was an atypical situation. How long was she missing before you noticed?" There was silence on the other end of the line. "Mr. Miller, we would like to resolve this amicably." "How long?" Alex insisted. "A few hours." "How many hours exactly?" "Around 8 hours." Alex felt his rage grow. His mom had been lost on the streets for 8 hours before anyone noticed her absence. "And when was I notified?" "Well, we tried to locate her first." "When was I notified?" Alex repeated firmly. The next day, Alex hung up the phone without another word. He realized that his mom had been lucky to be found by a good person like Mike. Something terrible could have happened to her. "Who were you talking to?" Sarah asked, who had noticed Alex's irritation. "The assisted living facility where my mom was. They wanted to offer compensation for her to return." "And are you going to accept?" Alex looked at Eleanor, who was on the porch teaching Dorothy how to crochet. The two were laughing at something one had said. "Never. My mom is never going to an institution again. She's going to stay with her family." "Her family? Us?" Alex said simply. "We are her family now." Sarah smiled. "You've changed a lot in these months, Alex. You changed me. You showed me what a real family is like. We just showed you what you already knew deep down. You just needed to remember it." Alex reflected on that. Maybe Sarah was right. Maybe the ability to love and care had always been there, just buried by years of ambition and haste. The house was ready by the end of the year. It was exactly as Alex had dreamed. Spacious, yet cozy. Luxurious, yet unostentatious, functional, yet beautiful. Moving day was a celebration. Alex hired a moving company to move everyone's belongings, but Eleanor insisted on personally carrying her most important things: family photos, favorite kitchen utensils, and a small potted plant with flowers she had planted in Mike's yard. "These flowers will grow beautifully in the new house," she said, careful not to spill dirt from the pot. Alex observed how simple things had deep meaning for his mother. He had worried so much about the grand aspects of the new house that he had forgotten that what really mattered were the small, personal details. "Mom, do you want to plant these flowers in the front or back garden?" "In the front," Eleanor said, determined, "so that everyone who arrives sees that people who appreciate beautiful things live here." Alex smiled. His mom still had vanity and aesthetic sense. She just needed opportunities to express it. The first night in the new house, everyone gathered in the large living room for dinner. Alex had hired a cook, but Eleanor insisted on making at least one dessert. "In my house, I make at least one thing in the kitchen," she said firmly. Alex was moved to hear her refer to that house as my house. It was the first time she had shown a sense of possession and belonging since they had found her. Dinner was joyful and full of plans. Mike talked about adapting a corner of the garden to plant vegetables. Sarah suggested making a small sewing nook for Eleanor. Alex proposed converting one of the rooms into a library with recipe books and poetry. "And what if we make a family photo album?" Eleanor suggested. "What family, Mom?" "Our family," she said, pointing to everyone around the table. "Family is not just the one you're born into, it's the one you choose to be with." Alex felt his eyes moisten. His mom, even with dementia, had understood the true meaning of family better than he had. That night, Alex went to bed in his new bed, in the new house, surrounded by his new family, and felt a peace he hadn't experienced in decades. Through the window, he could hear Mike and Sarah chatting softly in their room, and he could hear Eleanor humming an old song before going to sleep. It was the sound of happiness. The first few months in the new house were about adjustment, but everyone was excited about the new routine. Eleanor woke up early and went to the kitchen to help prepare breakfast. Mike took care of the garden before going to work. Sarah organized the house, and Alex worked part-time from home, always available when his mom needed him. "Alex," Eleanor said one morning, "you look more handsome." "How so, Mom?" "Your face is softer, less wrinkled." Alex looked in the mirror and realized she was right. The tension wrinkles had diminished. His eyes were brighter. His smile came more easily. "It's because I'm happier, Mom." "And why weren't you happy before?" Alex thought about the question. How to explain the complex mechanisms of ambition and work addiction to someone with dementia? "I believed that happiness was having a lot of money and a lot of success. And it's not?" "No, Mom. Happiness is having the people we love close and time to be with them." Eleanor nodded as if that were the most obvious thing in the world. "I always knew that," she said. "You always knew it. Since you were little, I tried to teach you that the important things are not the ones that cost money. But you didn't want to listen." Alex vaguely remembered his mother trying to teach him about values, about time, about family, but he was always focused on achieving the next goal, making more money, having more success. "Why didn't I listen to you, Mom?" "Because you wanted to prove you were important, but you were always important to me since the day you were born." The simplicity of the answer deeply touched Alex. He had spent his entire life trying to prove his worth to the world, when the person who mattered most had always valued him unconditionally. "I wasted a lot of time, didn't I, Mom?" "You wasted it, but you got it back. That's what matters." Alex hugged his mother, feeling grateful for having reconnected with her before it was too late. One day, Alex received an unexpected visit. It was his former senior partner, Edward "Ed" Thompson, who had taken over most of the company's operations. "Alex, are you sure about what you're doing?" Ed asked. "Leaving everything to take care of your mother?" "I didn't leave everything. I just reorganized my priorities." "But you built an empire. Don't you miss the adrenaline of business?" Alex looked around the living room where they were talking. Through the window, he saw Eleanor in the garden with Sarah, both planting flowers together. Mike arrived from work and waved to him. "Sometimes I miss it," Alex admitted, "but I discovered a different kind of adrenaline. The adrenaline of seeing my mother smile, of learning a new recipe with her, of listening to her stories. That's adrenaline. It is adrenaline of truly living, not just working." Ed looked out the window and saw the domestic scene Alex was observing. "You seem happy." "I am, and so am I." "Don't you feel like you're wasting your talent?" Alex thought about the question. "My talent for business is still there. I use it when necessary, but I discovered other talents I didn't know I had." "Like what?" "Talent for caring, for listening, for being present. Talent for being a son, for being a friend, for being family. Ed was silent for a moment. Do you think I should spend more time with my children? That's your decision, Ed. But I can assure you that they won't remember how many hours you worked. They will remember how much time you dedicated to them. After Ed left, Alex reflected on the conversation. He didn't judge his former partner because he had been in the same place for decades. He only felt gratitude for having discovered a different way of living. One afternoon, Eleanor had a more serious episode of confusion. She woke up from a nap not knowing where she was, got agitated and started crying. "I want to go home," she kept repeating. "I want to go home." Alex approached carefully. "Mom, you are home. This is our home. It's not my home. I want to go to the house where I lived with my husband." Alex realized she was referring to the house where she had lived during her marriage decades ago. "Mom, that house no longer exists. Remember? You sold it when Dad passed away." "I don't remember selling anything," Eleanor said, becoming more agitated. Mike appeared in the living room, drawn by the crying. "What's happening?" "She wants to go to the old house," Alex explained. "She doesn't remember selling it." "Mrs. Vance," Mike said in a calm voice, "how about you tell me what that house was like?" The strategy worked. Eleanor stopped crying and began to describe details of the old house. The yellow kitchen, the backyard with the mango tree, the room where Alex slept as a child. "It was a good house," she said nostalgically. "It sounds beautiful," Mike said. "But look what a beautiful house you have now. It has a garden, it has your own room, it has a big kitchen to make your desserts." Eleanor looked around as if seeing the house for the first time. "It's beautiful, yes," she admitted. "And there are people who love you here," Mike continued. "There's Alex, who is your son. There's Sarah, who loves to chat with you. There's me, who learned to make sweet coffee just the way you like it." Eleanor smiled slightly. "You love me. We love you very much," Alex said emotionally. "Then, it's okay. I'll stay here with you." After Eleanor calmed down, Alex and Mike talked about the episode. "Is this going to happen more often?" Alex asked worriedly. "Probably," Mike said. "Dementia has its ups and downs. Sometimes she'll be very lucid. Other times, she'll be confused. How do you know how to deal with that too?" "Experience with my mom and patience. We can't force her to accept reality. We have to enter her world and gradually bring her back." Alex admired Mike's practical wisdom. He was learning that caring for someone with dementia was an art that required sensitivity and technique. "Could you teach me these techniques?" "I can, but you'll learn naturally. The important thing is always to remain calm and never confront her when she's confused. It's better to agree and then distract her with something else." Alex began researching dementia, reading books and scientific articles. He wanted to better understand what was happening to his mother's mind and how he could help her. He discovered that the disease was progressive, that there would be increasingly difficult moments, but that with love and proper care, Eleanor could maintain a good quality of life for longer. "Mom," Alex said one afternoon, "I want you to know something." "What is it, my son?" "No matter how the disease progresses, no matter if you forget my name or recognize me, I will always be here." Eleanor looked at him with surprising lucidity. "I know you're going to stay," she said, "because you learned to truly love me, and true love doesn't give up." Alex felt his eyes sting. His mom, even with the illness, was still capable of moments of profound wisdom. "How do you know that I learned to truly love?" "Because you changed. Before you saw me as an obligation, now you see me as a choice." The observation was precise and touching. Alex had truly transformed his relationship with his mom from obligation to conscious, loving choice. A few more months passed. Life in the house had found a pleasant rhythm. Alex worked part-time, always available when needed. Mike continued his work as a sanitation worker, but now with more financial peace of mind, as Alex helped with household expenses and had opened a bank account for him. Sarah had decided to take a course as a senior caregiver to improve her care techniques for Eleanor. Alex paid for the course, and she discovered she had a great talent in the area. "I'm thinking of working in this," Sarah said one day. "Working in what?" "Caring for other seniors. Many people need it and don't have anyone to do it well." Alex was interested in the idea. "Would you like to set up some kind of service?" "I would, but I don't have money to start." "What if I invest? We could create a differentiated senior care service, not an institution, but humanized home care." Sarah was excited about the possibility. It would be like taking care of Mrs. Vance, but for other families. "Exactly. With affection, patience, respect for each person's individuality. That would be wonderful. So many people put their parents in institutions because they don't know how to care for them at home." Alex realized that he had found a way to use his business experience for something truly meaningful. "Let's talk to Mike about this. If he wants to, he can leave his sanitation job and help us manage the business. Would you do that?" Of course, you gave me a family. I would like to return the favor by helping you fulfill your dreams. When he proposed the idea to Mike, he initially hesitated. I've never worked in administration, but you understand people, care, patience. That's more important than administrative experience. And if it goes wrong, we'll try something else. But I'm sure it will go well, because you know how to do the most difficult thing in the world, care with love. Mike accepted the proposal. Alex provided resources to create a home care company with Sarah as technical coordinator and Mike as operations coordinator. The company started small, with only 3 caregivers trained by Sarah. The differentiator was humanized care. Each senior was treated as a unique individual, with their preferences, stories, and specific needs. The first rule, Sarah told the caregivers they hired, is that you are not just caring for a sick body, you are caring for a person with a lifetime of experiences and feelings. The business began to grow rapidly. Families were impressed with the difference in the quality of care. Seniors felt respected and valued, not just medicated and fed. Alex divided his time between managing the new company and caring for his mother. It was a challenging but rewarding balance. Are you working a lot again? Eleanor asked him one day, noticing he had spent more time on the phone. I'm working, but it's a different kind of work, Mom. Different how? It's work that helps families like ours, families who want to care for seniors with affection. That's good, Eleanor said. Work that helps people is work that does good for the soul. Alex smiled. His mother, unknowingly, had perfectly summarized his new work philosophy. A year after the company's creation, they already had 15 caregivers and served more than 40 families. The model worked so well that Alex began to receive proposals to expand to other cities. What do you think? Alex asked during a family dinner. I think we should grow slowly, Sarah said, to maintain quality. I agree, Mike said. It's better to do little and do it well. Alex nodded. He had learned from them that bigger wasn't always better. We'll grow little by little. Then, the important thing is to maintain our values. During this period of company growth, Eleanor had some ups and downs. There were days when she was completely lucid. She participated in conversations about the business, gave suggestions about senior care. Other days she was confused, didn't recognize familiar people, got agitated for no apparent reason. Alex learned to deal with these variations without despairing. On good days, he cherished every moment of lucidity. On difficult days, he maintained patience and affection, even when she didn't recognize him. Alex, Sarah said one day after a particularly difficult episode, have you thought that there may come a time when we can no longer care for her here at home? Alex had thought about it, but avoided confronting that possibility. Do you think we've reached that point? Not yet, Mike said, but it's good to be prepared. Dementia is progressive. What do you suggest? Perhaps we could adapt the house even more, create an even safer environment, and maybe hire a full-time nurse for certain periods of the day. Alex agreed. It was better to prepare in advance than to be caught by surprise. They hired a nurse specializing in dementia to be with Eleanor 24 hours a day. The professional, named Jen Davis, had more than 20 years of experience and integrated perfectly into the family. Jen, Alex said on the first day, the main rule here is that my mom is treated with love, not just with technical competence. Don't worry, Jen replied. I've worked with seniors for years and learned that medicine without affection cures nothing. Jen proved perfect for the family. She had solid medical knowledge, but also the sensitivity to understand the affective dynamics of the house. Mrs. Vance, Jen would say, let's take your medicine, then I can listen to you play the piano. The approach worked perfectly. Eleanor felt cared for, not controlled. One day, Alex realized that he was reaching the end of his journey as primary caregiver. Eleanor was increasingly fragile, sleeping more, eating less, recognizing fewer people. Mom, Alex said one afternoon, taking her hand, I want you to know that these last few years have been the best of my life. Eleanor opened her eyes and looked at him with affection. They've been the best of mine too, my son. Why, Mom? Because I finally lived in a real family, a family that chooses each other, that cares for each other, that loves each other every day. Alex felt his eyes well up with tears. Do you have any regrets? None. I lived, I loved, I was loved, I raised a good son, I found more children along the way. What more could a mother want? Are you afraid of anything? Of what might happen? I'm not afraid of anything. My children learned to live without me, and I learned that the love we sow continues to grow, even if we are no longer here to water it. The conversation was forever etched in Alex's memory. His mother had found peace and fulfillment, even amidst the illness. In the following weeks, Eleanor began to subtly say goodbye. She gave longer hugs, looked at people with more intensity, spoke of beautiful memories of each one. "Mike," she said one day, "thank you for finding me when I was lost." "Mrs. Vance, we found each other, didn't we?" Mike replied, moved. "Sarah, thank you for teaching me to be part of a family." "Truly, you taught us to be family," Sarah said, taking her hand. "Alex, my son, thank you for learning to love me. Thank you for teaching me what true love is, Mom." One Sunday morning, Eleanor did not wake up for breakfast as she always did. Jen went to check on her and found her sleeping peacefully with a serene expression on her face. "She passed in her sleep," Jen said softly. It was very peaceful. Alex, Mike, and Sarah gathered around Eleanor's bed. There was no desperation, just a serene sadness mixed with gratitude. "She seems at peace," Sarah said. "She is at peace," Alex said. "We gave her exactly what she needed, a family that loved her." Eleanor's funeral was a celebration of her life. The church was full. In addition to family and close friends, many people whose lives she had indirectly touched through Alex's work came. "Mrs. Vance never knew me," one of the company's caregivers said during the wake, "but she changed my profession. I learned to care for seniors with love, because Mr. Miller taught us what he learned from her." Alex realized that his mother's legacy extended far beyond his immediate family. Through the people who had been influenced by her story, Eleanor would continue to impact lives. At the cemetery, Alex gave a simple eulogy. "My mother taught me that it's never too late to start over, that family is about choice, not just blood, that real success is measured in love, not money, and that every day is an opportunity to be a better person. She also taught us," Alex continued, "that seniors are not burdens to bear, but treasures to value, that dementia does not erase a person's essence, and that caring for those we love is a privilege, not a sacrifice. The greatest gift my mother gave me was not life at birth. It was the second chance at life she gave me when she taught me to truly love." After the funeral, Alex, Mike, and Sarah returned home. Eleanor's absence was palpable, but the house didn't feel empty. It was filled with the memories and love she had sown. "What do we do now?" Sarah asked. "We continue," Alex said. "We continue to care for each other. We continue with the company. We continue teaching other families what we learned from her. She would be proud," Mike said. "She is proud," Alex corrected. "What she sowed in us will continue to grow." In the following months, Alex faced his grief with the support of his chosen family. Mike and Sarah decided to continue living in the house that had become home to everyone. "This was always our home," Sarah said. "Mrs. Vance wanted us to continue being family." Alex agreed. The family they had built was strong enough to survive the loss of the one who had inspired it. A year after Eleanor's passing, Alex decided to create a foundation in her memory. The Eleanor Vance Foundation would focus on training qualified caregivers and supporting families in senior care. "We want every family to have the opportunity we had," Alex explained at the foundation's launch. "The opportunity to transform the care of a senior into an experience of love and family growth." The foundation grew rapidly, attracting donations and volunteers from across the country. Alex continued as a city councilman, now focusing on public policies inspired by the foundation's work. 3 years after Eleanor's passing, Alex met Jennifer Jen Davis, a geriatrician who had also lost her mother to dementia. They connected through similar values about care and family. "Jen," Alex said one day, "I'd like to introduce you to my family." "Your family?" "Mike and Sarah are my chosen siblings." Jen was well received by Mike and Sarah, who saw in her someone who shared the values Eleanor had taught. "Mrs. Vance would like her," Sarah told Alex after the first dinner. "She has the same loving way of caring for people." Alex and Jen married 2 years later in a simple ceremony in the garden of the house where Eleanor had been happy. The wedding was officiated by Father Michael with Mike and Sarah as witnesses. "Alex," Jen said at the altar, "I promise to honor your mother's memory by being part of this family she helped create." "Jen," Alex replied, "I promise to love you as my mother taught me to love, with patience, dedication, and generosity." The family continued to grow when Alex and Jen adopted 2 children who had lost their parents. The couple decided they wanted to offer other children the family stability Alex had found late in life. Dad Alex, their adopted daughter Sophia, 8, said one day, "Why didn't you have your own children?" "Because you are our own children," Alex replied. "Family isn't about being born together, it's about choosing to stay together and love each other." "How did you learn that?" "From my mother. She taught me that family is built with love, not blood." The children grew up knowing Eleanor's story through Alex, Mike, and Sarah's memories. The house was still full of her photos, and her recipes were still prepared on special occasions. Grandma Eleanor must have been very fun, their adopted son, Matthew, 10, said. She was, Alex said, and she is still part of our family through the lessons she left us. How so? Every time we care for each other with love, we are honoring her memory. Every time we help someone in need, she is proud of us. The care company had expanded to 50 cities. The foundation had already trained more than 1,000 caregivers. Alex's books continued to be read by families facing similar situations. Alex, Ed, his former partner, said during a visit, "You've built a legacy much greater than any company." "What legacy?" "You showed that it's possible to transform suffering into learning, that losses can generate growth, that it's never too late to change." Alex reflected on the observation. He had truly built something much greater than he had imagined when he began his personal journey. On the 10th anniversary of Eleanor's passing, Alex organized a special event. He gathered all the families who had been impacted by her story, all the professionals who had been trained by the programs, all the politicians who had implemented similar policies. "We are here," Alex said in his opening speech, "to celebrate not the memory of my mother, but the continuity of her legacy. Every family that learned to better care for their seniors, every professional who treats patients with more humanity, every child who is growing up in a loving family is part of that legacy." During the event, several people shared their transformation stories, inspired by the example of Alex's family. "My father had dementia, and I didn't know how to deal," a lady said. "After reading your book and taking the Foundation's course, our last years together were the best of our relationship. I worked in a retirement home where they treated the elderly as objects," a nurse said. "After your humanization program, we completely transformed our approach. Now it's a place where people want to work and families want to leave their loved ones. I was repeating with my children the mistakes my father made with me," a businessman said. "Your story opened my eyes to what truly matters in life." Alex listened to each testimony with emotion. He realized that his family's small story had become a movement of social transformation. "Mom," Alex said softly, looking up at the sky that night, "I think we managed to honor your memory. We turned the love you taught us into a force that is changing the world, one family at a time." At that moment, Alex felt a profound peace. He had begun his journey as a lost man who found his mom by chance. He ended as someone who had found his life's purpose, to teach the world that true love is manifested in dedicated care for the people who need it most. The story of Alex and Eleanor had become universal, not because it was extraordinary, but because it was deeply human. It was about each person's capacity to choose love over indifference, care over neglect, family over isolation. "Jen," Alex said in bed that night, "do you think my mom would be proud of how our family grew?" "I'm sure she would," Jen replied. "She planted a seed of love that became an entire forest." "How so?" "Look how many lives were touched, thanks to her. How many families reconnected. How many seniors received better care. How many children grew up knowing that family is about love, not blood." Alex smiled. Jen was right. Eleanor's legacy had multiplied in a way she could never have imagined. "You know what excites me most?" Alex said. "What?" "That she achieved all this, just by being herself. She wasn't a famous person, she had no power, she had no wealth. She just had genuine love to give, and that was enough to change everything. That's what makes her story so powerful," Jen said. "It shows that anyone can be transformative if they choose to truly love." Alex fell asleep that night with a feeling of fullness he had never experienced before. He had learned that true success is not measured in personal achievements, but in the good that spreads through the world through the relationships we build. His mom, a simple lady with dementia, had become, unknowingly, a teacher for the whole world about the transformative power of unconditional love. And Alex, the cold businessman who almost lost what mattered most, had become the guardian and multiplier of that lesson, ensuring that Eleanor's wisdom continued to touch hearts and transform families for generations. The small house where it all began, where a kind sanitation worker had cared for a lost elderly woman, had become the radiating center of a movement that proved a simple yet revolutionary truth. True love, when shared unreservedly, has the power to heal not only relationships, but the entire world. And so, through a story that began with loss and abandonment, but blossomed into encounter and renewal, Alex learned the greatest lesson of his life. It is never too late to discover who we truly are when we choose to love without limits. End of story. And you, dear listener, what did you think of this story of transformation and love? Do you identify with Alex, or perhaps know someone living a similar situation. Leave your comment telling us your opinion, and share if this story touched your heart in any special way. Your participation is very important to us. Don't forget to leave your like if you liked the story, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other exciting narratives like this.